guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV, and welcome to this next episode of our podcast series. Well, tonight we've currently got 2 guests on. We may have 3, but I'll keep that one behind. And one person we have got on today, which we've spoken with on our channel, and that is Yannick. So, Jan, over to you, mate. Who are you? Where are you from? And tell us about your social media activities.
Oh, yeah, Andy. Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. My name is Yannick. I am a content creator, I suppose. YouTube channel, Football Therapy, which is a fairly recent channel, but it's going really well. So on both Twitter and YouTube is Football Therapy, but at Chelsea Yannick on Twitter as well. How I first started speaking to Andy, a big Chelsea fan, bit of a football nerd, and into stats and all that. And looking forward to chatting Premier League and football in general, mate.
Well, listen. I just found out yesterday you smashed through the 25,000 followers, didn't you? Subscribers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, superb.
That is absolutely amazing. Because how long's that been going for?
I think I started in May, just before the season. Oh yeah, just around there. Yeah.
Wow, guys, listen. Don't forget. Go over and check out and all the info will be in the description below the podcast anyway. And we've also got Cal on. Cal's been on the channel before on a previous podcast a number of weeks ago, and Cal is an Everton fan, very sensible lad. And Cal, where can people find you on social media?
On Twitter, Callum Blundell, and on Instagram, Callum_Blundell_03.
Brilliant. Well, listen, we hopefully somebody else might join us tonight. He's not answering his phone at the moment, but that's Babs from Young Guns. So he might call in. We might add him to the podcast later on. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. It's going to be a quick fire, sort of 5-question round. And so I'm going to kick off with over to you, Jan. Well, the season so far is the first question. Now, as we know, Chelsea, wow, what a start to the season by Frank Lampard.
Yeah, surprise package. I'll tell you what, Andy, like, Chelsea are doing very, very well, obviously, but if it's more what's happening at the club, the positivity, like what means a lot about, in football for fans are real, like, certain tangibles and stuff that's going on at Chelsea right now. Like, everyone thought prior to this season Chelsea were, in trouble. There's a transfer ban. They'd lost 49% of their league goal contributions in their arguably most talented ever player, Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
Granted, it was like a sort of kind of a happy ending because he got what he wanted. Chelsea fans gave him his blessing. He, absolutely dismantled Arsenal in a European final and basically kissed his hands and waved goodbye. So it was kind of a happy ending, but Chelsea were dreading coming into this season. And, a few months down the line, Chelsea fans are in dreamland. If Eden Hazard's the most talented player to play for Chelsea, Chelsea's greatest ever player would be Frank Lampard. And, he's Chelsea manager at the moment, and he brings with him the ideals of Chelsea of old. He's incredibly good with the media. He's amazing with the fans, and he's even better with his players. And on top of all that, he's brought through all the academy kids with Jody Morris and Joe Edwards. And we could be in 10th place at the moment. And I'm pretty adamant the feel-good factor would be similar, which is crazy to hear for a club with the expectations of Chelsea. But it's almost just a bonus of where we are on the table. So, yeah, pretty darn happy, mate.
Well, I mean, I must admit, when Frank Lampard was appointed, my first initial reaction when there was all this about, Lampard ex-player, he's only been at Derby, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, it's an absolute win-win. Because the expectation level, because you got the 2 transfer window ban, well, he couldn't sign anybody. So, like you said, if he was in 10th or 12th or something like that, people will always be able to give him that leeway to say, well, he can't sign anyone. We've got rid of, Hazard's gone. He wanted to leave. But he's actually been forced, in a way, to come up with another system, play the kids. Now, my question to you is, could you see this unity, this happiness, this togetherness, this, focus on where you're going as a squad and the style of play that you're playing at the moment, which is massively different to last season, with Eden Hazard in your team?
Oh, superb question there. I've done a video on this. I've done videos when Eden Hazard's still at the club. I'm an Eden Hazard super fan, right? I'm a big fanboy, right? But I've always maintained, as a bit of a stats nerd and how I look at analysis, that Chelsea would actually play better without Eden Hazard. And you can go back to before he left and look at my content, and I've actually said this. I said he's an entertainer, Hazard. He's not an elite goal scorer. He's a clutch player. He'll win a game by himself and he'll entertain doing it. So that's superb for the league to watch, whatever. Yeah. But for me, when Hazard played, it was a sort of, I'll pass the ball to Hazard, regardless to how good you are. And I don't want to get too complex or psychological here, but when you've got a player of that caliber, that the media is saying, oh, well, he's Chelsea's jewel in the crown, all his players around him grow what I've been saying is an inherent inferiority complex, whether they're getting it, whether they know they're getting it or not. Like, look at Willian, he's got the number 10 on his back. He's reborn. Like, all the players, they suddenly feel like, okay, so now we're a team, we work for each other, we're not trying to. And Hazard he's not like Cristiano Ronaldo that wants all the limelight. He's this silly, humble guy. That's arguably why he doesn't score that many goals. But because he's so much better, there was that gravitational thing towards him. So I know what you're saying. I feel like Lampard would have brought all of those positives that you just reeled off a minute ago a little bit regardless. But to be honest, man, it's a good question, and I don't think it would be to the same degree had we still had Hazard in the squad.
Interesting, because as it stands at the moment, for those people who are listening, well, Chelsea currently lie in third. Played 12, won 8, drawn 2, lost 2. You've scored 27 goals. Obviously, you got 17 against, which gives you a goal difference of 10. And you are on 26 points, winning your last 5 games. Now, if you take the Premier League form table at this moment in time, you are the most informed team in the Premier League, because Liverpool have got a win, a draw, a win, a win, a win. Leicester have got a loss, a win, a win, a win, a win. Chelsea have got 5 wins on the bounce. City have got I'm saying on the last 5.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sure.
So sure. City have got a loss, a win, a win, a win, and now a loss against Liverpool. So on the last 5 games, you are the informed team playing amazing football. So I'm going to ask Cal as an Everton. Oh, go on.
So just quickly, mate. And from the stats you threw out as well, that included a 4-0 loss to what is generally quite a dismal Man United side. Yeah. So that's four goals to ruin our goal difference, and a loss that maybe shouldn't have lost that game in terms of that. And also, finally, just quickly, Chelsea create as many the second most chances per game in the league, only behind Manchester City. So they're a very, very creative side as well.
Yeah, another player, Jorginho, has really surprised me. Because you think, it's kind of football he played under Sarri. It is Jorginho type football, slow passing, but for some reason it didn't work. But I think under Lampard, he's a new player. And I think, that pass he done for Tammy Abraham, that's some Kevin De Bruyne level kind of assist, which... When you can do that, very impressive. And I think, Jorginho's been, people talk about if you take Kante out that side, if you take, other players, Pulisic, Tammy, if you take Jorginho out that side, like we seen against Palace, he's the same team.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. On Jorginho, he's always been an excellent player, man. He was playing some superb passes at Napoli. He found it. I think he got bodied a little bit in the Premier League at first, but I watched him live loads, especially the latter parts of last season, and he I've always really I think he's quite like a lucid player. He always knows where everyone is. He's very metronomic. But a lot of people identify Pep, footballing genius. He identified him as a player, and he's always been quality, but you're right to highlight how he's basically expressing himself more. But that kind of comes with the sort of Frank Lampard approach of that we're gonna take risks and play direct. And again, he's integral to the team at the moment, not just because he's a talented footballer, but he sort of gives that leadership, and in modern football, comes at a premium, doesn't it? It's not like
Yep.
late 90s, early noughties and stuff where big football teams are riddled with, you know, big characters and leaders. You know, they're dropping off. Like Chelsea lost John Terry. Manchester City, I think it's horrendously understated of what company gave to that side. And I think they should get him back in you know, in the side, even if he doesn't only plays a little bit. But Jorginho, for a guy who's an Italian who's come in, who speaks, to his credit, quite good English now. He's learned quite a lot. He's basically ordering everyone around. He's getting everyone up for it. He's really makes everyone laugh in the dressing room. And more than anything, I think his character, and I think Frank Lampard identified that quickly, and he made him vice captain, which is really interesting. So I genuinely think before long he will be captain of Chelsea Football Club as P sort of gets phased out a little bit more.
Okay, so I remember the chat we had, Jan, remember about Jorginho last season, and I said he'd be a great player for Chelsea, and he's turning out that way. So my last question with regards to the Chelsea elements of the question is, you've obviously you brought Pulisic, who's done really well so far. You've got Tammy Abraham, you've got Mason Mount, Reece James, who everyone is really bigging up. You've got Billy Gilmore. Obviously, you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi. You've got plenty of young kids coming through. You know, obviously with the older ones, with the younger ones like Palmieri and things like that. And Zuma, yeah. I mean, Jan, finally, very briefly, Jan, who's been the standout performer for Chelsea out of those young kids? You can only pick one. No, I don't want a full rundown of all the kids.
So like people like Billy Gilmore and stuff. I mean, he hasn't really played enough.
Yeah.
But I've all. Jesus Christ! You know what? People are going to say like Tammy Abraham maybe, but I think Tomori, because his recovery pace and how mature you need to be a centre back in the Premier League. Tammy Abraham's confident. He's a good finisher. But I think in this Chelsea side, probably a lot of strikers would score goals, and Tomori has actually been fantastic if you watch him. And again, centre back, decent top centre backs in the Premier League are hard to come by, and I think he's going to start for England in the Euros.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is a big shout.
Yeah, I think he might be alongside Harry Maguire. Because he's got like the footballing ability of like John Stones, but he's got also like the sort of defending ability of more of I guess maybe even a Zuma in terms of like dominance. But his recovery pace is unparalleled, and when you're a side that's vulnerable in transition, like all attacking sides, I think the way he can get back, I think he's probably the fastest defender in transition. So.
Brilliant. Right. Okay. So over to you, Cal. Obviously, Chelsea lie in third. We've just been bigging up all these Chelsea players, the wonderful football that they're playing. Obviously, Frank Lampard's at the club doing really well. Yannick's he's just beside himself with the way Chelsea are doing this season. And down in 15th, we've got a team which in Everton have played 12 games. They have won 4. They've drawn 2, lost 6, scored 13, conceded 18 on -5, and on 14 points. And very inconsistent because the last 5 games have been loss, a win, a loss, a draw, a win. And a team that I had actually pushing the top 6. So
did I.
What's gone wrong?
I think it's just, I think it's like what I was saying before about that one loss that can turn into 1 loss to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 losses. And I think the problem is, I think Silva's come to this point where he's got a bunch of players, and I don't want to sound big-headed on him, but we really do have one of the most talented teams in the Premier League. And I know you'll have Liverpool fans and other fans bantering and saying, well, look where you are, but we do. On talent, we should be getting top 6.
Okay, right. Okay, Cal, justify that statement. You've just said we've got one of the most talented teams in the Premier League. So justify who are those players that would make Everton right up there, let's say, as a top 6 team.
Pickford, no one can deny that. He's England's number 1. one, in my opinion, the fourth best keeper in the league behind Ederson, De Gea and Ederson, behind them three. Not in order, by the way, because I think Ederson's best. Before people say, do you think De Gea? No. And yeah, great keeper. I think Yerry Mina is just a magical defender. I personally think he could walk into that City team over Stones or Otamendi. I think he really would. And we've got the best left back in the Premier, Lucas Digne.
I agree. I think
Seamus Coleman.
We'll hold on Digne at the moment because that's a question I'm coming back to.
Yeah.
In a minute.
Cool.
Coleman is a bit. Yeah, Coleman's slow, but Sidibe World Cup winner. Midfield, yeah, I can understand midfield, maybe not top 6 quality yet. Tom Davis, future captain, had a good run a few games, but it's the attack. Richarlison, is a really special kind of player, in my opinion. Iwobi, what can I say about Alex Iwobi? Really creative and has brought this creative edge to the Everton side that we've been lacking for the last, maybe since Tim Cahill, really. And Bernard's a class player as well. Not most clinical, but is a good player. And Moise Kean, what can I say? That hasn't worked out, but was supposed to be the best thing. Was supposed to be the best sign for us. And Calvert-Lewin, I think Calvert-Lewin, great striker, is 7 in 12 games for him. And realistically, we are a very underachieving side. In my opinion, people disagree. They're the standout players that could probably walk into a lot of teams besides from Liverpool and City.
Okay. Oh, yeah, go on. I was going to ask about 2 or 3 players. Go on. Jan's just asked you about Sigurdsson.
Inconsistent.
Great dead ball player, though. When he hit that goal the other day, he hit that like a dead ball. He just rolls in, lines it up, and hits it like a free kick.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think Moise Kean needs time. He needs a year in the I think he's only young. He needs a year in the Premier League.
He's got the Sané problem.
Yeah.
So his attitude.
What I'd like to know is how has a player who was really, really bigged up and was actually mentioned on a few occasions that City should sign, how's Michael Keane done?
It's just he literally, I call him, he's just like John Stones. He literally is another John Stones. He's just got so much talent, but he just bottles it, and it's weird. I don't know why he does it. He's like Christensen. I don't know if you'll agree, Jan, but they've got a lot of talent and a lot of potential, but they just don't do it in the big stage.
That's a really good comparison, because Christensen, Guardiola got in his ear a few times, and he made a high profile mistake against Barcelona, passed across his own goal, and went inside his own head for a while. So that's probably quite a good comparison.
I think Keane, in my opinion, for me, if you asked me 2 years ago, I'd be saying something different, but Jan won't like this, but Kurt Zouma, when he was at us, he blew me away, and really, that's the 2 centre-backs I want, Yerry Mina and Kurt Zouma.
Well, yeah, no, he's decent. It's decent, mate. So, can I pick up on a couple?
Yeah, absolutely.
Firstly, Moise Kean is a sick player. He's Juventus didn't want to sell him. They had to. Like, they wanted to keep him. He was banging goals. He's young.
Because they were broke. That's why. I don't know if you know that.
Well, yeah, probably the Ronaldo fallout or whatever from the amount of money they've spent. But whether he will come good or not is another thing. But
I think he will. But I think right now he needs to get his attitude, and that's the problem. You've seen so many players, and people say talent's everything, but you look at his Sterling, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Andy. When Sterling first went to City, he had no attitude. His attitude was terrible.
Yeah.
But Pep matured him.
Well, until recent events, I don't know if you want to talk about that or something.
We will do.
Okay. Can we talk about Liverpool? Because it might have sounded like a sweeping statement when Cal said best left back in the league, but I agree. I genuinely think he's the best left back in the league. And Andy Robertson's amazing for Liverpool. He's got amazing synergy, oddly and quite peculiarly amazing chemistry with his opposite fullback and breaking. And if he's not the best, if he's not the best, he's the same. Luka Dean has got literally everything as a footballer. He can hit a dead ball situation. He can score a goal. He can score a header. He can score tap-ins. He's got an amazing engine on him. He's quite understated in a good way. And I've been looking at his numbers. I did this last season. I was tweeting on it when I did the Statman stuff, and I was like, people are fucking sleeping on Luca Dean. The same way I used to say about Lewis Dunk. I think he's an amazing defender for Brighton. Like, his numbers are insane, but maybe a bit more with Luca Dean, because I wouldn't say Lewis Dunk's the best centre back in the league, even though I think he's one of the best. I genuinely think he's one of the best. But that's another discussion. But yeah, Luca Dean, man, I've done statistical comparisons with Andy Robertson. And he's got way more in his locker, and he's a better defensive left back, and he's still a good offensive left back. So, I just want to get that off my chest, and that's something I was actually going to ask you about. So it was good that we've covered it, really.
Well, I mean, I know that Cal has always said to me that Lucas Dean is the best left back in the Premier League. At first, when he first said that to me, I was like, what? Because I thought Robertson actually was, but actually I've really, really watched him closely, and he is absolutely superb.
Bastard.
And I've already joked with Cal that come January, City are going in for him. We're getting rid of Mendy. And if you think of Dean, and you think, obviously he began his career at Lille before he joined PSG. So at Lille, PSG, then he went on loan to Roma. Yeah. He went to Barcelona. These are not tiny little clubs. This guy has clearly been spotted by some seriously big teams. Yeah. All right, he's just turned this summer 26 years of age, so he's still got another 6 years at the top of his game.
Think Baines was doing it till he was 32, 33.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it depends how much you rely on your engine in that, though. Yeah, exactly. Premier League's like these days.
I don't want to admit it, Andy, but personally, I think it might not be January, but I do think you're going to raid us. And a lot of people say, no, when you want the 100 mil signings, but I can actually see Yerry Mina and Lucas Digne in a City shirt, because they do play a lot like Pep. Pep loves this passing football. Yerry Mina can certainly pass a lot better than Stones. Okay. We know Stones.
You're the Everton fan. Yeah. Let's say we don't come in for these two players. We know we're struggling at left back. We've got Zinchenko out with surgery. Mendy is, God knows what's happening with Mendy, because forget his injuries, but I believe the rumours were he was actually dropped from the squad because of issues outside of football for the Liverpool game. So we've got Angelino that we brought back, an sort of young kid that we brought back who's done all right.
He looked all right the other night, I thought.
Yeah, he's all right. He's not a great defender, I'll be honest with you. He's all right when he's on the ball going forward. He's not a top class defender. So if we were to look at Mina and Digne in the summer, how much do you think Everton would? What sort of figures do you think Everton had put on for those two? I mean, it's a guess.
Mina probably around. Well, we bought him for 30, and I think because of it's Man City, and because you're a big club, we won't say 50, but I think about 60 million, 55.
All right, so let's say double the price, 60 million.
Yeah, Digne, we bought for. I haven't anything from 70 to over 100 mil.
Woo! Wow. I'm not well. We turned away Harry Maguire for 80 million and said there's no chance we're going there with Harry Maguire for 80 million.
Yeah, but Pep doesn't want to buy shit, does he, for that much?
Back to Jan. Yep. The next question is VAR. You've got 2 minutes just to talk about VAR, your thoughts on it.
Oh my god!
And then I'm gonna stop. And then I'm gonna stop you.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go to Cal and ask him the same thing. So you've got 2 minutes.
All right, mate. Well, firstly, before it came in, I thought it had to come in. It's inevitability. Get it in. Let's just get it bedded in. It took the NFL, I think, 7 years or something, apparently, to settle their VAR, so it's to an agreeable standard to everyone. But I feel like it should stay. I mean, I'd love it to not be here right now. That's the thing, and that's how everyone's feeling. You know, like let's bring the joy back. Let's sort out the inconsistencies. Let's sort out the controversies, and just go back to fun. I think that's the reflex reaction. But the truth is, they can be doing it so much better. You know, Lampard's spoken about this at length about, you know, how they're allowed to use the screens, why aren't they using the screens? You know, the inconsistencies. The first couple of weeks, they were I can't remember which way around it was when they weren't giving anything in pens and suddenly they were giving everything. They changed their mind dramatically. The decision Sheffield versus Tottenham the other day, that's an absolute farce. You know, I'm sure you know that Trent Alexander-Arnold, if that's not handball, then I quit. Do you know what I mean? Because like, not only was his arm in an unnatural position, he turns his palm facing the ball. It's not like he was shoulders bending away. That was like a quintessential handball for me. And then, you know, other games, someone's hands by their side when they're not looking, and that's given as a handball. The offside, they'll scrutinise the line for 4 minutes, literally. And then other times with the same offside, they won't look at it at all. It's just nuts. I think they're panicking, they're freaking out, and it's the inconsistencies. And if I could, I reluctantly say keep it, but I'm having a terrible time.
Right, so you're an in. Keep it.
Just but with that massive fucking caveat.
Well, you can't have that. You can't have it both ways. If obviously, do you? So my other question to you, Jan, is do you think it's the VAR itself, or do you think it's the rules that Mike Riley and the others have implemented solely in the Premier League, because they're not the same rules as IFAB? So do you think it's the rules that need changing? Because Mike Riley has come out and said he's had a meeting with all the refs and said, we're more than happy with VAR. Fuck knows where he's coming from.
Nah,
well,
I think it's neither. I think it's literal incompetence and inconsistency. Because they're freaking out. They're having meetings halfway through the season. They're changing their high bar, inverted commas, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're panicking. I feel like they shouldn't use other Premier League refs hanging out, you know, because they're all mates, aren't they? They're all in like a secret ref club, and they don't want to undermine each other. So they need an absolute external body that have been brought in just to be, you know, they do all like whatever, and they literally do their jobs. Like when you start a business, you have people in departments that have trained for that department.
Yeah.
Keep Mike Dean in centre stage under his spotlight doing Shakespeare in the middle of the pitch. Don't put him in the room defending Marino or whichever mate he is. I feel like they need to externalise the VAR people at Stockley Park or wherever the hell they are, and they need to just find consistency.
Okay, so Cal, thoughts on VAR, but before you do, I'm just gonna mention a couple of things, and that is, obviously there are some. Let me word this in a way and phrase this in a way that I've got to be very careful. There are some rumours, and I've spoke about it on our live vlogs, and I've been in conversation with several people, including journalists, about the fact that there is betting conglomerates around the world that have maybe been included with referees in the Premier League and things like that, and that's something for another day. But the PGMOL is actually funded by the Premier League.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on VAR? And do you think the Premier League, after Scudamore came out on a direct quote from Scudamore saying we need to make sure that there is a different team winning the Premier League every 6 years, and then you get the type of decisions that have gone not only against City but other teams as well? What are your thoughts on VAR, and what's that noise in the background?
I think it's gone free, yeah, because I don't
know. Yeah, my bad. I saw that.
No problems.
I said this to you on another stream before, another podcast before, and I've said it on previous streams. VAR was brought in to stop City winning the Premier League. It's clear. It's clear. It's just clear. Yeah, come on. You're saying you reckon, but you know they've brought that in to stop you winning the league. You know it. they just don't want City winning the league. And I think if you look at who brought the financial fair play, who came at City, was putting on. He was also found putting money and was involved with Manchester United. And yeah, you know.
You're about Gill.
Yeah. The fact you said 6 years won a different league winner. You know, why do they want that? You know, City earn the most. They're getting all this money and stuff, and they're doing all. They're just, you know, they're the franchise of football right now, man. Like that, because no one thinks of the Prem no more. They want other teams winning it because they want to make their brand even bigger around the world, which they can't do. And it's kind of funny, you know, when other experts are coming, and it's kind of stupid, you know, other referees have come in from other countries and said, "Hey, look, that was a penalty. That wasn't given for City. That was a free kick. That was a red card. That wasn't given for City." And it's like, why is City getting this, but Liverpool are getting 3 penalties that were never pens, free kicks that were never free kicks, red cards that were never red cards to the other team? It's like, it's just stupid. It's an agenda against Man City.
Some would say that obviously you're an Evertonian, so you're gonna be biased against Liverpool, and I'm a City fan, so people will be saying these are loaded questions just to have a go at Liverpool.
But it's not. It's not.
And I'm trying to be as objective as I can here.
Yeah.
But I'm only presenting the facts that have actually been quoted by Scudamore, now, which I find absolutely phenomenal, that somebody who run the Premier League says we want a different winner every 6 years. I mean, what other sport does the governing body, the head of the governing body, say, well, we want to make sure that in the Olympics every 4 years we want a different winner of the 100 meters? That does that not suggest there's some angle, some agenda, something going on?
Martin said it best on the last one. He said that the Bernardo Silva racism case, that wasn't, he wasn't racist in my opinion. You know,
it's something we're going to come to shortly. Next question. So I'm just talking about VAR. Keep VAR now.
All right. It's just come in, and like, you know what, I'm with Jan. You know, when it first came in, I was like, this is actually going to help football. It's going to make it just better. Or it's the added time on the end of games and all this added pressure that's not needed, and it's just ruining football.
Yeah,
it feels like it. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those two things I've just said there, with regards to Scudamore's comments, and they're on record, they're facts, and the fact that the PGMOL is funded by the Premier League?
Well, I want to be careful here. Nothing in football, certainly in the upper echelons and hierarchy, could surprise me from like what history's taught you about football.
Yeah.
I'm not one way inclined nor the other in terms of, I don't necessarily subscribe to any conspiracy theory, but I would not be surprised if there was something.
Pull those splinters out of your ass. Get off the fence.
Sorry to interrupt you here, Jan, but if you look, and Andy, I don't know if you remember, we beat you a few years ago in not the 4-0 game. You know, I've got the T-shirt, got everything for that. The game in the League Cup when we beat you.
Yeah.
That game in the League Cup when we beat you. The referee was found out to be a Manchester United. He had a picture took on when he was on holiday with his wife and his I think it was his daughter, of him with a Manchester United shirt on. And he sent off, I can't remember who he sent off. It could have been Martin Demichelis. I could be wrong with that, but he did send someone off in your team, and it was never red. And literally, I remember that game because we handballed it, and we literally snapped Aguero about 100 times, and he just didn't. He just literally let Aguero on the floor, and
yeah. Well, it's out there. Like, it's definitely out there. But like with the whole, like, I completely understand that what makes the Premier League great is that it's really, really competitive.
Yeah.
You know, even when United was still generally bossing it, in between, Arsenal won a couple, Chelsea won a couple, Chelsea came back, City, you know, came to power, Chelsea came back, you know, so it was a bit of this, bit of that. And Ferguson was amazing in terms of how he won titles. But it wasn't a given always that United were going to win the title. They just ended up doing it.
But just something, and I don't want to go off topic here, but Andy, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but everyone has a go at City for spending 1.4 billion in 10 years. But what about, you know, back in 2003, 4, United spent £100 million. They bought Wayne Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, all these big name players at the time. Which it's not big money now, but back then it was a lot of money. But no one cared.
I don't
Chelsea,
think
no offense, Jan, but Chelsea have spent a lot of money.
Yeah, with the original, with the, you know, before FFP, the original league buyers, you know, no, I don't think any proper Chelsea fan would deny that. But then again, you know, Chelsea were a good team in the 90s. They were a top 4 side, and it just sort of pushed them over the line. Certainly the late 90s, anyway. But
it's jealousy with Man City. It's just
yeah,
jealousy,
but the thing is,
and no one can deny that.
Yeah, I think so. And they're like, you know, they're a well-run club. You know, they got the right backroom stuff. But so is Liverpool. No one wants to hear it. Liverpool are a really well-run club at the moment. But I think the money thing, it doesn't matter anymore, because City have shown
it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, but they've shown what they've spent money on was sensible. They're not. You know, look at Man United. How much money they've spent and where they are at the moment.
How many City players can you name that have flopped under Pep?
Yeah. Exactly.
Look how many players have flopped for Everton. We spent 420 mil.
Yeah, and they were laughing when, you know, what was it, like Pep was spending 50 million on a defender, but defenders that win you the Premier League, and he's not spending 80 million on a defender.
Exactly. He's not spend. Pep's already said Pep's not the manager to go and spend hundreds and hundreds of million. He'll spend, you know, 40, but he buys a lot of players, and he wants to revamp his team every so years to improve it and get better and better.
Yeah, I think it's kind of moot point now, man. Like the money thing, United have shown money doesn't buy happiness.
I mean, to stop you both there. I mean, I totally agree. When it comes to money, obviously, I'm a City fan, so we constantly get it off opposition fans. It's the money. I mean, I had it tonight below a blog, and it was somebody said, "Look at all the money that you spent," and I said, "Well, Pep spent just £120 million more than Klopp. Klopp's won a European Carabao Cup. Pep's won 7 trophies. You know, there you go.
Won the Super Cup, Andy. He beat one team to win that. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, we gave him a run for their money as well.
Well, exactly. So I mean, it's one of those that, you know, money is there. People spend it, and it's about how you spend it and what's your return on that investment. So
it pisses me off when people say that, because what are you gonna? It's like you said today. When you've got 1 point, you're gonna buy the best players. You're not gonna buy the worst players.
Of course you are, and you're going to buy the right players. I mean, like Jan just said there, you only have to look at the investment United have put into Fred and Sanchez and the way, and not just the outlay, but the salaries,
wages,
5-year contracts. It's phenomenal. So anyway, final thoughts on VAR. Then, one word: in or out? Jan?
Oh, in. I have to be.
Carl?
Bullshit.
So I'm guessing that's an out then.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, no splinters for me. I'm a definite out as it stands right at this moment in time.
Yeah, there's a caveat, Andy. See, I was like, I'm an in, despite what it's like at the time. Like, I'm not like, I need to ferment the point of, I'm in because of what it generally should stand for, not what it currently is.
Yeah, I mean, goal line technology, I'm all for that. No problem whatsoever. I just think the way it's been implemented, and let's face it, we are not following what the rest of Europe are following, hence why our referees are not refereeing in European Champions League, Europa League competitions, because Pierluigi Collina turned around and said last season, when people questioned why there's no English referees refereeing Europe, he turned around and said, because they're not currently using VAR in the way that Europe is. When it comes in next season, if they use VAR the same as Europe does, then they can come back into the competitions and refereeing. What have we done in the UK? In England, we brought in VAR and then gone and changed a shed load of bloody rules in the whole competition, in the whole implementation of VAR. So Pierluigi Collina is going to go, you still can't referee in Europe because you're not implementing it like we do in Europe.
Can I just credit one thing, Andy, please?
Yeah, go on, mate.
I've got to credit Stevie Wonder for Liverpool, though. He's been an amazing referee for Liverpool, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, here we go.
He's done such a good job with his with the VAR at Liverpool. Such a good job.
There you go. Yeah, in England as well, I have like 2 good refs. And I think Michael Oliver actually is a good ref when he's just reffing without VAR. I think he can be. But
well, on that point of Michael Oliver, then.
yeah, go on.
So if we take the Trent Alexander-Arnold handball,
Yeah,
he immediately waved that away as no handball.
yeah.
And he's a good referee.
Yeah, I mean it's especially if he looked like he was in a good position as well. But I'm like talking about how assured he was, how he that final when he sent Buffon off, he was so good, and he held his ground against.
So my next point is, when Raheem Sterling's running through and gets pushed in the back and falls over, and Michael Oliver's only 10 yards away from it, and he says there's no penalty for that either. That's good refereeing, is it?
Well, I can't remember that particular thing, but I'm only judging. I'm judging him on the last few years of watching him Champions League final. But I remember little things like this is. I mean, you were talking about a City player and City incidents. That whole game was a bit of a farce, and I think I actually would be inclined to say that the whole VAR fiasco is probably getting into a lot of refs' heads as well. They are feeling maybe it's and it's not the best sample size of their organic, natural refereeing ability, like say him in the Champions League final. Or like the way he used to that game when he said the game he sent Herrera off when he tackled Hazard, because he said, look, one more tactical foul on Hazard, I don't care who they are, they're getting a yellow, because he was already on a yellow. He did it bang off. He's like, look, I'm stamping my authority. I see what you're doing here, and I'm not having any of this bullshit. Like I feel like he against all these passive, undecisive refs, generally he's been very good.
I'm only being mischievous.
I know you are, mate.
But my final point on VAR is, and this is the thing: do you think that? I mean, and again, this comes down to Mike Riley and everyone else who's implementing all of these new rules and regulations and all this inconsistency and all this subjectivity and everything else that comes into it. Why can we not just turn around and say, the referee makes a call, VAR turns around and looks at it and goes, there's a little bit of ambiguity there. Michael Oliver, go over to the sideline.
Yeah.
You look at it, we'll show you the angles, and you, as the on-field referee, make the decision. That way, we know as fans, paying fans that pay a lot of money every year to go and watch our teams, invest all of our time and energy and emotions in following football, which football cannot survive without the fans. And you make the decision so that when you go, no, it wasn't a handball by Trent Alexander-Arnold, we all know you've made the decision. You have actually made it. And it is on you, not some invisible person at, in a caravan at bloody Stockley Park. I mean, what are your thoughts on making it absolutely part of the law that a referee has to look at the monitor pitch side? Cal, come to you first.
I just think, but on that point, mate, I just want it gone.
Like, right, but we know from Mike Riley has said he thinks it's working very well, so it's not going anywhere. We know that. Yeah. So what's the next stage? Is pitchside monitors and the ref...
Show the fans. Why aren't they showing the fans?
Oh no, they can't do that. That was called absolute madness.
No, but why aren't they showing the fans in the stadium the decision? And why do they have to, when they make the decision, they check it, then they check it again, and then they check it again, and then you'll start playing. You can run up, and then they'll start playing and check it again.
Yeah, but my question was about the pitch side monitors, not about about monitors in the stadium, because there is a flaw in that, as we know, because Liverpool don't have a screen, or Man United don't have a screen, and both clubs have turned around and said we can't have monitors in the stadium to say VAR decision, because it'd mean us moving fans to fit them into the stadium. So there again, what we've got already is an imbalance that, and all the other Premier League teams have to have screens, but Liverpool, United are currently getting away with showing their fans nothing in the stadium. But back to the pitch side monitors, it's not going anywhere, VAR. We know that. So should the decisions be made, Cal, by the on-field referee, and he is solely responsible, not VAR.
Yeah, this should be the on-field referee because the referee should be able to overrule them, really. And yeah, if the ref thinks it's a pen, then it's a pen.
Okay. And he can still go over and check the monitor.
Yeah, he can just go over.
VAR have said, come and have a look at this. We're not sure. There could be a trip. There could be an elbow. There could be an hand. You make the decision. We'll show you the angles. There you go.
Yeah, can I just weigh in on that?
Yeah.
Just 100% that. Like, again, I echo Lampard's sentiments. They just do it like how they do it in the Champions League. They're like, look, mate, go and have a look. It's a bit contentious. Go and have a look. They literally run over. They're really good. They look at it for about, 10 to 15 seconds, run back, make the decision, point to the spot, point to that. It's not mandatory, but they should be highly encouraged to go and look at the screens. And even more so, while they're implementing it a bit more, just make a bit more of an effort to do it a bit more at the beginning, just to show that they are utilizing what is available to them. And generally, they're, again, not mandatory, but they're generally encouraged to do so. That would be a positive step.
Well, I mean, my suggestion would be that if VAR have to intervene for anything, then it should be mandatory. Because if VAR are suddenly going, Michael Oliver, there is something gone on here, I think you need to see it, then I mean, we're talking about contentious issues here. We're talking about a handball in a box or a trip on the edge. Is it in the box? Is it out the box? We're not talking about a foul that occurs and could it have been a yellow card or not? Yeah. We're talking about real serious. Was that an elbow in the face that he's missed? And VAR goes, ooh, Michael Oliver, I think you need to have a look at this on the monitor and you decide. And that is it. VAR don't have any other involvement other than the offside lines, which let's face it, on Sunday. On Sunday, we never saw any. All we got was the skyline that they put in.
I mean, speaking of conspiracies, Andy.
Well, yes, I know.
Okay, we won't talk about that.
Yes, VAR apparently wasn't in play for the first half of the game, and Pep Guardiola was told not to talk about it, and blah blah blah. And that's why Pep was so pissed off, because VAR wasn't apparently, allegedly, available for the first half of the Liverpool game when we had those contentious decisions. So, yeah, it could be conspiracy theory. Could actually be true. Who knows? But anyway, we've got an out from Cal. We've got an in from Jan. I'm sort of sat on the fence. I'd rather have it out as it stands at the moment, but I'd rather have it in if it's used properly.